If someone had asked me back then exactly when it all started, I wouldn't have been able to answer. Maybe that evening, when Mia was laughing in the rain, and I caught myself thinking I had never seen anything more beautiful. Or maybe it was when she said, "You're looking at me like I'm your problem." And I answered, "Maybe I just want to be yours." It was the beginning of autumn, the last week before graduation. The city smelled of wet asphalt, coffee, and leaves burning somewhere behind the school. Everyone was waiting for the holidays, to scatter, to vanish, to dissolve into the road. Everyone, except us. Mia was already dating Jack, a senior, a guy with a flawless smile, and that kind of confidence that only comes to people used to winning. He'd pick her up in a black Jeep, and she would always run to him like he was a safe zone. And only sometimes, when she thought no one was looking, she'd glance my way, quickly, guiltily, as if stealing a second from someone else's time. I couldn't figure out what she felt for me, or what I felt for her. And it even seemed to me that she was a little distant with Jack, too. I didn't plan on falling in love. One day she just said, "I don't want this week to just disappear. Let's do something with it." Like what? Live it. And we did. The first day, we went to an abandoned lake outside of town. The wind was biting, but she took off her shoes and stepped into the water anyway, laughing. The sun pierced through the fog, and I thought that if heaven exists, it must look exactly like this. She tossed me a pebble. "Make a wish if you love me." Already did. That fast? Because the wish was ready even before you said it. She stared at me silently, and something hung between us. Light, dangerous, indescribable. The next day we wandered through the city until night, taking pictures with her old Polaroid. In every shot, she felt closer. In the last one, her face so close I could see my reflection in her eyes. She captioned the photo, "For those who've forgotten how it feels to breathe when life is right next to you." We sat on the roof of the school gym, eating pizza straight from the box, sipping warm cider, and laughing at the thought that we'd probably never be allowed to be this carefree together again. "Jack went to Seattle," she said between sips, "for a few days. And you decided to use the break to think things over?" "No," she looked straight at me. "To feel. Because soon, maybe it won't be like this anymore." On the third day, I realized things were getting out of control. We were laughing in a cafe when she suddenly went quiet and whispered, "This is wrong." "But it feels right," I said. "That's the problem." After that, we were silent. The rain pelted the windows, and somewhere outside, someone played the saxophone. And I realized that this silence was also a part of our story. On the fourth day, we ran into Jack. I saw him from a distance. A black Jeep, straight posture, dark jacket. He looked like someone who had everything under control until he saw Mia standing next to me. His gaze was cold, but not angry, more like the kind you remember just before a storm. "So, this is him," he said calmly. "Your friend." "Jack," her voice trembled. "It's not what you think." "Then tell me what it is." I wanted to answer, but she touched my hand, lightly, almost imperceptibly, like she was saying, "Not now." He glanced at me once more, briefly, and walked away without another word. Jack didn't see me as a rival. That's why he stayed so calm. After that, she stayed quiet for a long time. Then she said, "You have no idea how hard this is, and you have no idea how much it hurts." She squeezed my fingers, like she was trying to memorize their shape. "We have 3 days left." On the 5th evening, she sent me a photo, the one where we're standing on the lakeshore, holding hands. The caption was short, choice. I read that word dozens of times, and for the first time I felt fear, not of losing her, but of giving her the right to make that choice, even if I wasn't part of it. That night I didn't sleep. From my window I watched the night fall over the city, the streetlights dissolving into the rain, and I thought, maybe love isn't about holding on, but about letting go. Yet deep inside I still hoped. These 7 days weren't over. The 6th day began like any other, but a sense of heaviness hung in the air. Mia didn't show up for our morning coffee, didn't answer my messages, and even when I passed by her favorite bookstore, she wasn't among the shelves of classics. Only a short line in the messenger, "Not today, sorry." I tried to understand what it meant. Had she just forgotten about us? Or had someone else interfered in these 7 days that were supposed to be ours? My chest tightened with anticipation, but at the same time I felt a strange, unexpected patience. Maybe it was part of the lessons we were meant to learn together before making a choice. I decided not to wait. Visiting her house felt like the natural next step, even though my heart was racing faster than usual. Her house stood quietly among red maples, and on the porch lay an old Polaroid camera, her constant companion. The door opened, and Jack was standing there. "You're here again," he said calmly, without aggression, but with that confidence that always felt like a wall. "Where's Mia?" I asked, feeling my hands tremble slightly. "At home, sleeping, or pretending, I don't know," he replied. "But it seems you've said enough already." His calm, or rather the absence of calm, felt both overwhelming and dangerous. Jack wasn't a bad guy. He was the kind of person who doesn't notice his own control until you challenge it. "I just want to talk," I said. "You've done that already, more than once." Jack stepped aside, and I stayed standing, listening to the wind rustle through the maples. And then Mia appeared in the doorway. No smile, no explanation. Her hoodie was too big, her hair slightly messy, but there was something in her gaze that made me wait. "Okay," she said softly. "Enough." Her words felt both a warning and a plea. She sat on the step, and I ended up next to her, silently. "Jack, he had an accident 2 years ago. After that, everything got harder. He's not a bad person, not cruel. He just clings to me because he's afraid of losing control." "You don't owe him anything," I said, looking into her eyes. "But I owe it to myself," she said, "not to destroy someone who's already barely holding on." I listened, and I realized she was right. And at the same time, I felt that we had lost 3 days of our week, the ones that were supposed to be the most incredible of our lives. We sat in silence, listening to the rain that had started falling unexpectedly, softly tapping on the roof. I looked at her hands, clenched on her knees, and I understood. Behind those movements was fear. Not fear of me, but fear of the choice she was going to have to make. "We have 2 days left," she finally whispered. "And what are you going to do?" "I don't know," she said, and it was more honest than any answer I could have imagined. We stood on the bridge by the river where we used to ride bikes. The wind caught her hair, and I could see her eyes shining with rain and thoughts. She pulled a photo from her bag, an old Polaroid we had taken a few days ago. Choice. I understood. It was her way of saying the decision wasn't mine, and that it wouldn't be simple. I wanted to hug her, to tell her I was ready to wait, but the words got stuck somewhere in my throat. "I want you to know," she said softly, "that these days changed me, even if it all ends now. Meaning I know what it's like to truly love." Her gaze dropped to my hands. "But sometimes loving someone means letting them go." That evening we walked through the city streets in silence. The rain had lightened, the streetlights flickered, and I realized love isn't always about presence. Sometimes it's the feeling that stays inside, even when the person leaves. When she finally returned home, I stood in the rain, feeling a strange mix of pain and gratitude. She had taught me that love isn't possession. It's the ability to be honest with yourself and with others. And even if our week was ending, it remained priceless. Before going to bed, I looked at the photo again. We were holding hands, the sunset reflecting in the river. On the back, her handwriting. 7 days, but enough to believe. And for the first time, I felt that true love isn't always with you. It changes you, makes you stronger, and sometimes it makes you let go. 3 years. 3 years that felt both fleeting and endless. I learned to live without that constant racing heart, without sleepless nights and endless memories of Mia. I moved to Portland, rented a small apartment above a bookstore, worked in a cafe, and realized that peace, too, is a kind of luxury. And then I saw her, in a friend's social media photo, a charity concert, the stage, spotlights, and Mia, with a guitar in her hands, in a simple shirt, smiling as if the world had meaning again. Her smile was familiar, even after years, but now calm, balanced. I couldn't look away, and 2 days later, I bought a ticket to her show in Seattle. When she stepped onto the stage, I realized that time is only a construct. Her voice was softer than I remembered, but real, without the nervous jokes she used to hide behind, without fear of losing control. Every note, every movement, telling the story of what had remained inside us when we went our separate ways. After the concert, I stood by the exit, trying to appear calm. But when she came out, our eyes met, and that same feeling hung in the air again, just like 3 years ago. "You've changed," she said, smiling slightly. "They say it's inevitable," I replied. "I thought you were in New York." "I was. Got tired of skyscrapers without sky," I said. Her smile softened, almost childlike. "And you?" I asked. "I'm learning to be." She took a step closer, and I smelled her hair mingling with the cool evening air. We sat on a bench by the waterfront. The streetlights reflected on the water, and for the first time in a long while, I felt that we didn't need to say anything extra. Silence could be a conversation, too. She reached into her bag and pulled out an envelope. An old Polaroid, the one from that week on the bridge, holding hands, the sun setting, water shimmering. On the back, her handwriting. "If we meet again, no running." "I wrote this the morning after that bridge," she said softly, "but I didn't have the courage to send it." "And now?" I asked, feeling my heart skip a little. "Now, I do." I looked at her and saw that this was no longer the Mia who once laughed in the rain. And I wasn't the same either, the one who wanted to turn the world upside down for 7 days. But it felt as if we had never really been apart. "So what now?" I asked, repeating the old words. She laughed, quietly and a little shyly. "Now, I guess, it's time not to run." We walked along the waterfront, the streetlights reflecting on the water, and she subtly took my hand. No hesitation, no explanation, just like before. My heart clenched with joy and quiet at the same time. That night, we sat in her hotel room, drinking tea, talking about the 3 years that had passed without us, about how she had helped Jack after the clinic, how he recovered, moved, and even thanked her, about her music, my small failures and victories, about how love sometimes isn't about possession, but about shared cycles that shape our lives. Before she fell asleep, I whispered, "If tomorrow it all starts again, I won't run." She nodded, eyes closed. "Me neither. But now, not because I'm afraid of losing, but because I'm ready to find." At dawn, when the first rays of sun touched her face, I realized stories don't always end with a period. Some go on, quietly, like a breath beside you, and that's enough. 7 days, 3 years, one love. And maybe finally, the right time. We sat in silence, holding hands. And I understood the most important thing. Love isn't always about drama or grand gestures. It's about presence, about the fact that even after separation and fear, we can find each other again, not by chance, but by choice. And this time, we won't run.